morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today another detailed forecast update coming your way. We're going to be talking about some showers and storms across the northeast of New South Wales and into the southeast of Queensland. We're also going to be talking about a couple of days of severe thunderstorms expected to develop across New South Wales later on this week. We're going to touch on a strong cold front that's also forecast to impact Western Australia. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We're getting closer and closer to 20,000, and the support in the videos lately has been greatly appreciated. So starting things off over into the northeast of New South Wales and into the southeast of Queensland, you can see that we've already got a line of clouds and precipitation and even the odd thunderstorm moving through the northeast of the state, past communities such as Moree, Lightning Ridge, now into communities such as Tamworth and Armidale. Now these clouds and thunderstorms are going to develop into a more widespread band of rainfall and thunderstorms later on this afternoon, as you can see here on the forecast throughout the course of today. So right now there really isn't too much to be talking about, but later on in the forecast period today, at around 2 or 3 p.m. local time outside of Moree, Lightning Ridge, and then St. George and Roma in the Queensland side of things, you can see a couple of thunderstorms beginning to fire up, at least preliminary later on this afternoon and evening. We do have that chance of severe thunderstorms as well outside of Moree and Thallon. That has shifted over to the New South Wales side of things. We were yesterday talking about severe thunderstorms around the St. George sort of area, but it looks like the forecast has shifted the favourability for those severe thunderstorms or potentially severe thunderstorms right over the top of Moree into the northeast of New South Wales exclusively. Still though, we're still going to be talking about some showers and thunderstorms, particularly along the Sunshine Coast around Gympie and Kingaroy, at least a little bit inland from the immediate Sunshine Coast, communities of Maroochydore, Coolum or Noosa. We could also be seeing a few thunderstorms further up the Queensland coastline as well, up towards Rockhampton into the Capricorn district, outside of Ogmore and Gladstone, that sort of area. We could be seeing a few showers up there, but nothing too crazy in terms of thunderstorms, and really it's only going to be light stuff up there. But for the most part, the severe thunderstorms and the juicy activity remains on the New South Wales side of things, just to the north of Moree specifically. It is going to be in a really isolated spot in this part of New South Wales, pretty much where the cursor is circling right now. That's where the chance of thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms does look to be most present this afternoon and evening, and it looks like those storms are, like I've said, going to be exclusive to that area. We still could be seeing some light to moderate rainfall along the Sunshine Coast and even into the southeastern parts of Queensland, around the sort of Toowoomba and Brisbane area. It looks like the rainfall will keep itself out of Brisbane for the most part, but still a few showers are possible later on this afternoon and evening, and I believe the Bureau of Meteorology has highlighted the possibility for up to 8 millimeters of rainfall. Again, I might be wrong with that number there. Certainly as you get further inland towards the scenic rim areas and Mount Tamborine, the rainfall chances do increase substantially, and the total precipitation that they might get could be as high as 25 millimeters later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. So the 8 millimeters around Brisbane might actually be conservative for the most part of southeastern Queensland, and into the northeast of New South Wales, rainfall accumulations will likely be a lot higher as well. In fact, with the ECWF model, as you can see here, not only expecting a round of severe thunderstorms outside of Moree, but a round of reasonably heavy rainfall outside of Glen Innes, across towards Yamba and Grafton later on this afternoon and evening. In fact, later on tonight, to be honest, and that could deliver some heavy rainfall accumulations to communities outside of Grafton, Fortis Creek, just to name one of them. Outside of Grafton, we could be seeing some good rainfall out there. But yeah, conditions do look pretty good for some showers and thunderstorms tonight. Definitely not going to be a major severe thunderstorm outbreak. I think this has been a little bit hyped up by the forecast, and we're now having to backtrack as we have had to do on the last couple of forecasts, which is unfortunate because I know that at the start of storm season, a lot of people are generally pretty excited for severe thunderstorms, especially the ones that aren't going to cause problems. And I mean, if you do live outside of Moree, you are going to get a treat later on tonight with some severe thunderstorms, but then they're not going to be damaging or anything dangerous like that. So again, make sure you do play it safe, but it looks like a pretty good round of thunderstorms do look to be on the cards. But however, unfortunately for the southeastern corner of Queensland around Brisbane and the Gold Coast, for the most part, it's just going to be light showers with the odd thunderstorm mixed in there, which is quite disappointing to hear, especially with how some of the forecasters have been talking up, I guess, this severe thunderstorm outbreak. It has since been kind of scrapped for the most part for southeastern Queensland. I mean, it was never going to materialise in the beginning, but it has for the most part been back down quite consistently over the last couple of days. Now, in terms of rainfall accumulations over the next 24 hours, nothing really special is expected, with the right thunderstorms up to 50 millimeters is possible. But for the most part, the majority of communities are going to miss out on rainfall. Outside of Brisbane, out towards Beaudesert and Ipswich, rainfall accumulations will be a little bit higher, up towards 15 millimetres is possible there. But once you get further inland and up towards the Sunshine Coast, when we're expecting rainfall from thunderstorms, the rainfall is going to be very hit and miss and very unpredictable, with peak accumulations up towards 25 to 50 millimetres. But for the most part, the majority of communities will miss out. And also throughout the course of today and into tonight, a few showers developing up in the Capricorners, up between Rockhampton and Mackay. A few light showers are possible out there. But again, don't get your hopes up. Only a couple of millimetres is on the cards. But every millimetre right there, right now, certainly does count. They are in desperate need for some rainfall, so that is good to see that there are a few drops on the forecast. Now, as we have been talking about for the last couple of days, there really isn't anything beyond this on the forecast, at least for the southeast of Queensland and the northeast of New South Wales. We could be seeing a few showers and storms fire up on Friday afternoon, but for the most part, outside of Chinchilla and Roma, where they will be at their most intense, they look to be pretty tame and pretty much like nothing, to be honest. We'll get some warm temperatures as well into the early parts of this weekend across the southeast of Queensland. In general, we'll be getting temperatures up into the mid-30s, 30s for the first time this summer season, pretty consistently throughout Friday and then into Saturday as well. A few thunderstorms also possible on Saturday afternoon, but again, nothing really to write home about. And then beyond that, it looks like it's going to be a pretty tame forecast. Of course, there's still showers and storms here and there throughout the course of next week. Monday's the day that I want to be watching across central Queensland, but for the most part, until next Thursday and Friday, we don't really have another thunderstorm in brackets or in quotation marks, thunderstorm outbreak for the most part until at least the end of next week, Thursday and Friday, like I've just said. So it is going to be a bit of a calmer period that we'll move into, especially for this time of the year. Mid-October, typically peak storm season for the southeast of Queensland, but we will keep a very close eye on things, and I'll give you frequent updates as necessary on the forecast, because things can and they will change. Now into New South Wales, where we've got actually quite a lot to be talking about. So throughout the course of today, as we've mainly talked about in the far north of the state, there is a little bit of activity expected. There's also some pretty steady rainfall expected out in the northeast of New South Wales, outside of Coffs Harbour, Grafton and Yamba. Some good showers are possible out there. They could bring accumulations to the 9 a.m. tomorrow morning up towards 25 or 30 millimetres, and I would not be surprised if places such as Glen Innes picked up slightly more rainfall than that, up towards the 50 millimetre mark, but I reckon 50 millimetres might be stretching it considering the setup that we have. Also into Victoria as well, into the southern half of New South Wales and Victoria, a few showers and storms expected to fire up tonight into the southeast of South Australia, and also into the southwest of Victoria. We're going to be seeing some thunderstorms and potentially severe ones as well fire up along the border. So if you do live there, first of all, hello. I don't think we've talked about the weather seriously down there for quite a while, and second of all, be warned, there are some storm cells on the way throughout the course of this afternoon. Now, that's not tonight that we want to be talking about. It is throughout the course of this week and later on this week that there's a lot more interesting stuff happening. So Thursday afternoon, we're getting a bit of a thunderstorm outbreak across parts of central South Australia and then into New South Wales as well, especially into the western half of New South Wales. Broken Hill, a few showers and storms expected Thursday afternoon, and in the western half of Victoria as well, especially between Bendigo, Ballarat, and then across towards Horsam. We could be seeing some rainfall and storms as well in the afternoon hours of Thursday, and that is all being driven by, look at this, a low pressure system skirting across the Great Australian Bight into South Australia by Thursday evening, and then down towards the southern half of Victoria by Friday morning, and this will bring some very heavy rainfall and some pretty widespread showers and storm activity throughout the course of much of Victoria throughout Thursday afternoon and into Friday morning, and then into the northern parts of Tasmania from Friday morning onwards for a very long period of time as well. So some unseasonably heavy rainfall expected for Tasmania, and some very widespread moderate to heavy rainfall expected across parts of Victoria as well, especially between Albury across to Mansfield into the foothills of the Great Dividing Range. We could be seeing some very heavy rainfall get jammed up there Friday morning, and I'd not be surprised if rainfall accumulations across a 6-hour period top 60 or 70 millimetres there, because it is going to be very heavy and for an extended period of time as well. Now, that's just half of the forecast. You can already start to see a few showers and storms developing into the sort of middle half of New South Wales, and then take a look at this. Friday afternoon and evening, we get a line of potentially very severe thunderstorms developing across central parts of New South Wales at about 3 or 4 p.m, extending from the northern parts of the state around Woonarring and then into the southwestern corner of Queensland. It is at that point through Cobar, Griffith, down towards Albury and extending right down towards Melbourne. So this is going to be 2 states long, this severe thunderstorm line, and it is going to be nasty. There will be a lot of severe thundercells packed into this, especially earlier on into the afternoon around 3 or 4 p.m. outside of Cobar and Wagga Wagga and Albury, where there's going to be a lot of severe thunderstorms here and there, and they will bring the risk of large hailstones, damaging winds, and very heavy rainfall in places. Now, as you get further north up towards Cobar and then into the northern half of New South Wales, there is going to be a risk of weak tornadoes as well, but only in the initial half of the afternoon and evening, probably at around 3 or 4 p.m. and by around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and evening, the risk of tornadoes rather does completely diminish. The risk of thunderstorms, though, as you can see on this forecast, certainly does stick with us right through Friday night and into early Saturday morning, even with some very strong storms heading up into the northern half of the state, up towards Lightning Ridge, Moree, Tamworth, just to name a few more communities up there. We're going to be seeing quite a lot of thunderstorm activity. Now, these thunderstorms are going to be long track, and what this tells me is later on the afternoon, especially around 4:30 or 5 o'clock, this is going to transition from a bunch of pulse to supercell thunderstorms into a line of squalls, which is going to traverse the New South Wales state and last for potentially up towards 4 or 5 hours. Now, squall thunderstorms, we typically don't see the risk of large hailstones. We can still see hailstones embedded with them, but we do have an increased risk of damaging winds and heavy periods of rainfall across a lot of New South Wales, which looks to be what we're going to be seeing Friday evening from about 4:30 or 5 p.m. onwards, especially for communities in the sort of southeastern corner of the state. As you get up towards the Great Dividing Range, it's kind of hard to kind of put a finger on where exactly to call this, specifically around Wagga Wagga up towards Young, Parks, Orange and Dubbo. And if you do live around those communities as well, you are also going to be in the threat zone for said squall impacts. And then up into the northern parts of the state, as we did just talk about a minute ago, some heavy falls up there. That does kind of indicate that supercell thunderstorm activity is expected later on Friday afternoon and evening, which does bring the risk of just a whole nother round of tornadoes and large hailstones, heavy rainfall and damaging winds up there. So it is a very complicated forecast here. I'm going to give you a very detailed forecast update on this on Friday morning because this is going to be front and center, certainly. Again, I haven't seen too much news on this around Facebook. I guess I'm probably just not in the right group chats at this time, but it doesn't seem like too many people are talking about this and thus too many people are aware of this. But certainly Friday afternoon, get ready because it looks like a very decent severe thunderstorm outbreak is expected. Don't be alarmed, this isn't record breaking or anything. This sort of stuff happens multiple times in the year, and this is expected for this time of the year as well. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. This just looks to be one of the stronger thunderstorm events of the year. But like I said, nothing record breaking, nothing out of the ordinary at this time. This just looks to be one of the stronger ones, and probably a little bit stronger than usual as well, just considering the environment that these thunderstorms will find themselves in. It is looking beautiful for thunderstorms, that's for sure. And yeah, all round, it is a pretty complicated weather system throughout the course of Thursday and Friday over that 36-hour period from Thursday night into Saturday morning. Some very good rainfall accumulations are possible, specifically around Shepparton and Albury and the Victorian side of things. We could be seeing accumulations up towards 60 or 70 millimetres, and potentially quite a little bit more than that as well. Melbourne expecting between 20 and 30 millimetres as well. That looks to be a very good number to put for rainfall for Melbourne. Not only accurate, but much needed as well. And then along the southwestern coast, and between 25 and 35 millimetres also looks possible. Tasmania between 20 and 40 millimetres along the west coast, 20 and 30 millimetres expected along the north coast. Unfortunately, South Australia looks for the most part to miss out on some good rainfall. They could be getting some throughout the course of today and into tomorrow into the southeastern corner of the state, but again, for the most part, rainfall looks to be pretty hit and miss there. And then across New South Wales, depending on where the big thunderstorms happen, it looks like the rainfall is going to be pretty hit and miss as well. For the most part, accumulations across the central parts of the state look to be between 10 and 35 millimetres, but it will be very hit and miss. The further towards the west you go, the more hit and miss the rainfall will be. Also, the further north you go, the more hit and miss the rainfall will be. But if you live around what I'm going to call a sweet spot, around sort of Griffith, Wagga Wagga, especially Parks and Dubbo, the rainfall for the most part looks to be pretty set in stone, 20 to 30 millimetres at this time. Again, I'll give a very detailed forecast update on it tomorrow because things can and they will change. Now, in terms of tropical update as well, I'm just going to briefly touch on the Northern Territory. There has been some good rainfall there overnight. In fact, 110 millimeters fell, I believe, outside of Darwin. It was only about 40 kilometers away from Darwin from a thunderstorm that developed later on in the evening and into early this morning. So some very good rainfall was reported up there. It was forecast as well. We missed it on this channel, however. Still some very good rainfall has fallen up there. Typical for this time of the year, but still a little bit more than what they typically receive, especially for the month of October. That is more sort of January or February type rainfall accumulations up there. And just before I finish off this video as well, I would like to give a brief weather forecast for the southwestern corner of WA. We do have a cold front that's moving through. It'd be a stretch to call this a strong cold front, but it is one of the stronger ones that we'd see for this year. For the most part, the rainfall is going to be between Jurien Bay and Geraldton, but we're going to be seeing showers as far north as Shark Bay as well, and Kalbarri. Some good falls are expected up there with the front crossing the coast, the rainfall at least crossing the coast from pretty much now onwards. We've got a prefrontal trough as well extending across parts of Western Australia, and that's going to promote a line of potentially severe thunderstorms into the goldfields and into parts of the eastern wheat belt outside of Ravensthorpe, Lake King, across towards Salmon Gums and Norseman as well. So if you do live out there, not only do you have the chance of some heavy falls throughout the course of tonight, but you've also got the potential for a pretty good lightning show as a result of these thunderstorms. And unfortunately, it looks like for the most part, Kalgoorlie misses out on these. These thunderstorms develop just towards the southeast of Kalgoorlie. So it looks like they're going to be very isolated, these thunderstorms, and not going to be impacting too many people. Like I said, the peak of the rainfall will be between Jurien Bay and Geraldton. I think you could probably extend that a little bit further south towards Lancelin. For Perth, the rainfall looks to be concentrated towards the southern suburbs. The heavier falls between Perth and Mandurah, but to call them heavy is also a bit of a stretch. Up to 10 millimeters is expected, but I reckon most weather stations will pick up between 2 and 5 millimeters. There will certainly be some in the hills that pick up towards 15 millimeters, and even down towards the southern suburbs as well. Rockingham, Mandurah, we could be seeing up towards 15 millimeters there, and then down towards the southwest capes, pretty much nothing in the way of rainfall is expected, and a few storms expected later on this afternoon and evening, and even into the Perth metro area as well. A few rumbles of thunder are possible into the late afternoon around 2 or 3 p.m. But yeah, for the most part, this is nothing too interesting on the forecast, and it seems like it's going to be more of a teaser front than it is an actual weather system. But we will keep a close eye on things here. Nothing looks to get out of hand at all. But yeah, interesting stuff happening around the nation, that's for sure. You can hear my voice is breaking at this time, so it's certainly time to pack this video in. It's an early update for me at this time. But yeah, that has been another very detailed forecast update. If I've left anything unanswered, then please do let me know in the comment section down below. We're getting closer and closer to 20,000 subscribers as well. I believe we're just 400 away, or 450 or something like that away, and I believe we can hit that by the end of the year. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. The support in the videos lately has been much appreciated, and I'm very, very privileged to be, I guess, the de facto YouTube weatherman for a lot of Australians, which is a fantastic role and certainly something that I'm very honoured to have. But yeah, that has been all from me today. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. The names are on screen right now. Could not run the show without them, but that is all from me, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.